What's good with it, Joe? What's good with it? Welcome back to A1 Hoop Zone. Y'all already know what to do, man. Hit that like button, sub to the channel if you're new. Let's dive into it, man. It's been a minute. We back, as y'all can see, or if any of y'all has been following back in Minnesota, you can tell by the background. So, uh, completing everything here so we can make that final move across the country. But while we're here, man, we're gonna do some cooking and we're gonna dive into a few things, man. First and foremost, appreciate y'all for sliding back through this joint. Again, my apologies for being absent. We're gonna make sure we tune in more often with y'all, get you some more content, keep you up to date on everything. Let's get into it, man. So first, this is gonna be a long one, so make sure you stay tuned for the entirety of the video. It's gonna be a long one, but it's gonna be a good one, man. We're gonna, what I'm saying, follow along with me on this journey, man. Follow me with this journey. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk some basketball today. We're gonna talk it. Uh, First up, though, I just want to touch on NBA free agents that's left, notable names. I'm gonna do every position so that way y'all have it. I had a list of it because I was just looking at some of these players and I'm just like, damn, man, just recently, a lot of these guys was just in the league, had a big name for themselves. Some of them being obviously newer players and some of them being veterans as well. It's a good mix. But I feel like some of these players can absolutely help some of these teams. You know what I'm saying? And again, we'll start through every position, and I'll start off with the centers, right? So just looking at the list, because everybody knows there's a long list of them that's out there. Bismarck Biombo, I'm pretty sure he's going to get signed. Why? He's a veteran, high energy guy. Brings that to the team more than anything. Just very high energy, up tempo, scrappy player, no quit. You need players like that on your team. Absolutely, especially when you're going up against a team that have size, or when they're playing small ball. You just need somebody that isn't necessarily a 7 footed, a slow footed, or anything like that. But you need somebody that's out there able to rebound, high energy, protect the rim at times, and things of that nature. When teams do go small ball, and I feel like Bismarck Biombo is one of those players that could do that for a lot of teams. So keep an eye on him. I would not be surprised at all if the Warriors were to scoop him up. And that's just me being honest, but keep an eye on that. And then who else we got up there? Willie Cauley Stein, another rangy, kind of very thin, big, more of a high energy rebounder. I would say rim runner. He can catch lobs, but outside of that, man, that's kind of where it ends. And there was a lot of hype behind him when he was coming out of Kentucky, and then it just kind of it flamed out. Not sure what happened, man. We all know DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. He's still on the market. I personally feel like he's kind of semi being blackballed a little bit. Is it kind of self inflicted or not? I would say that the previous reputation from back in the day, maybe, but from the same point of it, he's a passionate player that's extremely skilled. Like I said, I think if you look at it before Jokic hit his peak or prime before winning a chip, man, DeMarcus Cousins pretty much was Nikola Jokic. He was the first coming of it just because he is an explosive player. We all know how his size and how he's built. He's not explosive. He's not like a high flyer or anything like that, but he is immensely skilled with shooting, passing, knowing how to utilize his body, getting rebounds, things of that nature. So I see a lot of his game resembles, or this it's kind of on par, or looking at the same as Jokic. But again, a lot of people gonna sleep on that. Hell, I might get some, I might get some people coming in getting on my head about making that comparison. But like I said, when you take out the fact of the names and just look at the skill sets, you can say Jokic has a better skill set, but at the end of the day, it's very similar as far as stature, how they play, and their size. Just take a look at it. If you don't believe me, just look at it from a unbiased lens, or not being a victim of the moment, and you'll see what I mean. Uh, Dwayne Dedman, very surprised this man is still getting contracts, and that's no slight of disrespect to him. Just hella surprised. I think he was with the Heat, or he moved somewhere else beforehand, man. And it was like he's literally just not getting any minutes out there. Cordy Jang, or yeah, Dang, same thing. In Minnesota, you saw the best out of him. I think he went to San Antonio. He's a stretch big. He again, the bigs are kind of phasing out at this point because we all know the game is going very up tempo. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that, man. Derek Favors, same player. Offensively, not really a threat, more so a rebounder, rim runner, things of that nature. Um, Taj Gibson, savvy vet. You can use his veteran leadership in the locker room. Obviously, we all know Taj Gibson the best from when he played with a Prime D Rose, Joakim Noah, Courtney J. Jane, Luau Dang, and all those guys. And it was in Chicago. That's one that kind of rings a bell for a lot of people. And again, that's Taj Gibson. So keep an eye out for him. going to a team where they need that veteran leadership from a big. He can stretch the floor, rebound. We've all seen him, body a couple players, most notably Dwayne Wade. That was obviously in his younger days, but hey, it still happened. It still happened, man. So who else we got, man? We got Serge Ibaka, another stretch big. Obviously, we all knew him from more so protecting the rim, and then he showed that he has an offensive game as well. Mid range, obviously attacking the rim, and he extended it out to shooting the three. So there's going to be teams that's going to be definitely interested in Serge Ibaka. I know he was coming off of a surgery, so we have to wait and see how he looks. But I know there's going to be teams that's absolutely going to be interested in him. Frank Kaminsky, same thing. He doesn't really get the minutes to be able to go out there and consistently showcase his skill set and what he can do. But he's a stretch big. He can hit the mid range. He can hit the three. Play a little bit of defense as far as protecting the rim. He'll be there, whether to be posted or to be challenging at the rim. Either way, he'll be there. He'll be there for it. So we got to keep that in mind for it too, man. Miles Leonard, a big who definitely will be there to protect the rim, rebounder, catch lobs here and there. But again, it's kind of almost the same for a lot of these bigs as far as what you're going to list off for it. The only difference is whether or not they have offense or if they can hit the mid range and shoot a three. A lot of these bigs, as far as like being a big, the number one overall thing is just being able to protect the rim, rebound, and then from there, anything else on top of that is just cherry on top. You know what I mean? So like Boban, right? Everybody know Boban being 7'5", 7'6", whatever the case may be. One of the most liked bigs in the league and personalities. He's funny as hell to me personally, but it's going to be hard for him to be on the team to be out there because it's kind of slow footed too. You know what I mean? But so I'm sure there'll be a team that'll snag him up just because of his personality, his character, and how he is as far as a teammate too. You hear nothing but things about it. So I'm pretty sure there'll be a team that'll snag him up, man. And then who else we got? We got Tristan Thompson. Didn't really get to see how much he had left in the tank when he played last few games with the Lakers. He got sparing minutes and things of that nature. So we'll have to wait and see, man. A lot of these guys, the oldest one that was in that list for the Senators is Taj Gibson. He's 38. The rest of those guys are in their low, low to mid range of the 30s. So they still got time, at least from a veteran standpoint. So, a lot of these teams nowadays are extremely young. You don't really have veterans that's been in the league and they know how to maneuver and deal with being under that bright light. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of them should definitely these teams should look at bringing in some of these veterans and definitely helping these young guns stay in line and keep themselves out of trouble. You know what I mean? So we'll move on to power forward, right? For power forward, you got Greg Brown. You're gonna have somebody pick him up because he's young, 22 years old. You're gonna have somebody develop him. Another big name, JaMychal Green. The Warriors, looks like they had left. They went ahead and let him go. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Stretch big. He can shoot the three, shoot the mid range, attack the rim. Savvy, smart player. He's 33, so he's been in the league for a minute as well. So uh, look for him to get picked up. Blake Griffin. Unfortunately, I see him kind of phasing out at this point. He's only 34, but it's an old 34, which is weird. But I don't really see any value as far as the team looking at him and saying like can he turn back the hand of time and be that Blake Griffin that was with the Clippers when they had Lob City and things of that nature. I don't really see it. I see it more of a case of where, if anything, going to a team, I wouldn't say and being like a veteran leader. It's just more so just having like a veteran that's there that's had the highest points of being like the face of a team and things like that to kind of just being a voice in the locker room, as I would say, that he probably could add value to a team. Um, James Johnson, 36 years old. For him, we'll have to wait and see what he can do. Still stays in shape, but at the same time, not much value to bring to a team just as far as taking them over the hump or anything like that. Um, so we'll see. He's still one of those big, a notable name that's out there. I mean, Markieff Morris, same thing. He's still a veteran and can definitely be a voice in the locker room and a no nonsense type teammate and things of that nature. So there's going to be a team I think that'll definitely pick him up too. He still can get the job done when he be. Um, and let's see, Noah Vonleh. I don't really see too much from that. Christian Wood, I would say, is the other one, right? Where he is a big, but he can do everything. So it's just going to be a matter of what's the best fit and where he wants to go. Because you had the Lakers interested. I think you had the Spurs. And you had another team. too that was definitely interested in his services. So we'll have to wait and see. I think he has his pick of the litter on what he wants to do or where he wants to go. Obviously, it's a matter of more so of the team reaching out to him than him reaching out to a team to offer his services. But definitely a big that can shoot. We've seen him attack the rim. He's only 28 years old, so he's still young. You know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see what he can do or what he can offer to a team to help them out, man. So we'll move down to our small forwards. Uh, no slight of disrespect to this. Right at the top of this list, they have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Um, yeah, no, like I said, no slight of disrespect, man. I don't really see it, in him being 31. I don't really see any teams like jumping through the window to get him. I would say it's the wrong Antetokounmpo that that they be jumping. Like everybody, obviously with Giannis, man, hell, he got people that sell their mama to get Giannis on their team. Some of these owners, uh, uh, but in this case, man, yeah, I can probably see him being in the G League or maybe playing overseas or something. And again, that's no slight of disrespect. It's just I don't really see like a team willing to pick him up to fill up their roster spot to put him on the team and knock off somebody else that'll be playing minutes or playing valuable minutes or anything like that. I just don't see it. Um, Rudy Gay, he's definitely getting a lot of interest from teams. Why? Because we all know he's a savvy vet. Back in his day, before the litany of injuries and things like that, man, hell, they were giving I wouldn't say giving comparisons to a LeBron, but they were saying from a talent and a size perspective, like he has the ability to be that type of player. And at one point in time, hell, Rudy Gay was that guy. I'm saying being at his size, being able to shoot, we know he can attack the rim. If you don't know anything about Rudy Gay, I suggest and highly encourage you to go pull up some of his highlights as far as in his younger days when he was dunking on man. Like pull up Rudy Gay in his prime. That man was a monster back in the day. But obviously, it's an older Rudy Gay, multiple injuries and things like that, but still has something to offer. He still can knock down the mid range. High IQ basketball player. So he still can definitely have things to offer to the team. So there's already teams that has interest in reaching out to him. So we'll have to wait and see where he goes. But definitely he has a spot on one of these rosters in the league, man. Uh, let's see, Maurice Harkless, same thing. I think he'll probably end up on the roster too, just based off the strength of him being able to what he brings to the table. High energy guy, a vet, been in the league for a minute. Can shoot when open. He's one of those people like you won't care to shoot, but you're also not gonna game plan to shoot. You know what I mean? Like our game plan for him as a shooter. But the thing is, you got to keep an eye on him. Uh, Justin Jackson, he's bounced around. We're going to wait and see what happens with him. Hopefully, he can figure it out. Again, it was that people were extremely high on him. Being a young talent and thinking that coming out of Kansas what he could turn into. But it's just he just hasn't found that right fit or right home for him as of yet. Man. But he's still young enough to still be able to find somewhere and be of value to that team, to that roster. Stanley Johnson, I would say same thing. Same thing goes for him, man. Derrick Jones, same thing. Former slam dunk champ. I'm surprised like he's bouncing around and kind of fell out of things because he showed that he could do more than just dunk. He was playing defense. They had him. You know what I'm saying? When he was playing with Chicago, as listed as one of their best defenders. So we'll have to see what team is going to take interest on him. Only thing is him being so thin, but at the same time, him being thin, he's extremely lengthy. I mean, he has length. We know he's an explosive jumper, and so he definitely, I would say, focused in on defense, and then from switching over from defense, he switched his game more so to showing he has an offensive side to him too. But definitely defense is where he kind of made his bones of why teams were coming for him. But then obviously again, knowing he's a former slam dunk champ, they use him on the offensive end for lobs or things of that nature. So I'm pretty sure he should get picked up for sure, man. Kevin Knox. Being that he's 24, man, Kevin Knox has the size and the athleticism and the ability to be one of those marquee, like an efficient scorer in this league. He just hasn't been given the opportunity to showcase that. He hasn't been given the minutes to be able to go out there and show that he can do it. In the time of when he's been on the floor, he's been able to showcase and show, flashes of what he can do. So I can see Kevin Knox, him being 24, man, I can see him finding a home and him being able to get the time that he needs to really show what he can do. So I look forward to that. I can definitely see Kevin Knox being on the roster, um, being on somebody's rosters this season, man. Who else we got? Kelly Oubre. That's another surprise. I'm extremely surprised he's still on the market too. Kelly's one of those guys, man. Like plays defense. He's a streaky shooter. We know he can attack the rim because he's boomed on the best of them. I think he dunked on Paul George. He done dunked on a few people, man. And I think in his what is that? His either IG or Twitter name, Tsunami Poppy or whatever it's called, man. Hey, Kelly Oubre got the swag, but he played with it. He played with an edge too. So I'm very curious and excited to see what team he goes to and what value he can bring to that team because I definitely see him being able to do that. Now, Juan Toscano Anderson, no slight of disrespect, I see him probably making a G League team. Why? From a I wouldn't say talent standpoint, just from a skill set standpoint of what he has, I don't really see him being a difference maker on one of these rosters. I would say his best situation where he was being able to play, stress free or not when he was with the Warriors. I mean, how else really put it, man? Where there was no expectations when he was with the Warriors. It was just go out there, Steph and Clay was going to be the shooters. Just go out there and play with energy. You know what I'm saying? Make the hustle plays. You know what I'm saying? Get those 50-50 balls. That's more of his role and expectation that was from him. He played for the Warriors, right? But he went to the Lakers and he was playing with the Lakers. How did that really fan out? He was it was literally more of a scenario and situation where it was just the expectation of okay, you're Brent Pepper, you're playing with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, you got to contribute on both ends of the floor at a high clip, right? And you didn't really see that. He also didn't really get the minutes like that, but you didn't really see it when he had the minutes he was playing. It was just more like he's out there and he doesn't really necessarily know what to do. So it's like I wish him the best and hope for him, best to get the opportunity. But being 30, I think you're probably not gonna really see him playing those kind of minutes. T.J. Warren, I think the bubble was the best thing that happened to him to give him an opportunity and a flash to show, hey, I can score with the best of them, one of the best players in the league, and things of that nature. But is he? I mean, I mean, with the Nets, right? You had a flash moment of like a little bit of scoring, but he's not one of those players where you're gonna not a marquee player where you're gonna put him in a starting five and say go out here and lead us in certain ways and stuff like that. Solid, maybe good, solid bench player, maybe a role player that can do things, but I think he'll get picked up. I'm not even gonna. I think he'll end up getting picked up. Now, Justice Winslow, for me personally, and again, there's no slight of disrespect because he's actually younger than Toscano Anderson and TJ Warren. But I don't really see how keep making rosters. I mean, I know he had some injuries, the hype, can't really shoot, only goes left, and he's at a size where it doesn't know if he must be a guard, shooting guard, or small forward, right? And team, and what I've seen just with teams, they try to utilize him in certain things, but it's like I don't know how it keeps going from a case in this position, but then like you're bouncing around teams. Like your role isn't truly defined as far as what 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 value you bring to a team type thing. I could be dead wrong. Like somebody can definitely address that in the comments. Let me know. But when I hear or see Justin Winslow, I think in my mind, okay, like what value or what is he going to do for the team? That comes to mind like right away. Like what exactly does he do? Why kind of like Dwayne Dedman a little bit, right? When I look at this again, no slight or disrespect or hate or anything like that. It's just when you look at it, you're just like, what value does this person bring to this roster, right? And so that's kind of one of the things when I look at it too. It's like if I was a GM, I wouldn't be looking at the I would choose T.J. Warren and Juan Toscano Anderson over Justin Winslow. If I was a GM, if I had to choose between the three, like he would be the absolute last option. But that's just me. And maybe I'm a little naive or something. Somebody can point me in the direction and show me, where the hype is or the value he would bring to a team and educate me on that part. But just for me, I don't see it. Um, Now for the shooting guard, this list is gonna be definitely a little bit longer. Will Barton, we all know what he do. High energy guy, streaky shooter. definitely going to get picked up on a team. I don't see him sitting out for too long. Jared Culver, young player, still trying to find his way around the league. Think he should make a team, but as far as getting those minutes, I don't know. I think it's going to be tough, man. I think it'll be tough. Terrence Davis, same thing. I'm gonna do Diallo. I think he'll make a team just off of his toughness and explosiveness. He can get to the rim and finish with the best of them. So his attitude and chippiness keeps him in it. I can see him being picked up. Um, let's see, Brian Forbes, Danny Green, the old savvy vet. Somebody may keep him on the team just from a standpoint of again being a veteran that's won a championship or two, understanding the game, playing for some of the best coaches in the league, Popovich. Um, obviously played with the Lakers as well. Played with the Cavs with LeBron. So he's been around some very high IQ, not only coaches but players as well. Understanding the game, has successfully won at the highest levels too. So um, I can see him being one of those players like Udonis Haslam. You know what I mean? Well, obviously UD retired, but one of those players was like he's there, but he's there as a player, but more so as a coach on the floor type thing, like or a coach on the bench. Not necessarily obviously the head coach, but one of those players that's like, I've been here, this is what it takes, this is what we got to do. So I can see him making the team for sure. Javante Green, whew, I think it might be a little tough for him. Just because like right now, I would say the shooting guard position is one of those positions where every team is almost loaded with a shooting guard, right? And then behind that shooting guard, you got a backup. The backup it could probably be a starter on some other team, and that's a majority, not all, just a majority. And Javante Green's like caught in a position where he doesn't really. He's had flashes of like things he can do, whether it be shoot the three, uh, attack the rim, defense, things of that nature, and then it kind of fades out. You're not seeing the consistency of it. So I could see him probably being a bench player, but necessarily it's going to be it won't be a lot of teams falling for that service just because you haven't seen enough to say like okay, like he can be step up and do this if he got the consistent minutes for it. But he's shown flashes that he can do it in the little time that he's had. So it's kind of a 50-50 thing on him. RJ Hampton, the name is big, but man, it's just he got to figure out how he wants to play. You know what I mean? He's had opportunities and got taken away, and then he's had them again. So they're gonna have to figure out what they want to do from the RJ Hampton camp as far as like how they want to be aggressive as far as with his game and what he brings to the table. That's my advice to him. Shaquille Harrison, Mario Langford, good player. I think he'll get picked up by somebody. Just from what he showed in the past, man. Let's see who else we got. Uh, let's see, Terrence Ross. We all know what he does. Catch and shoot type guy. Energy guy comes up the bench. I think there'll be a team that'll snag him. Austin Rivers. Team that'll snag him just for his scrappiness. He's been bounced around the league a little bit, but he's earned his stay in the league. So I think you'll see him get picked up by somebody. Um, that's kind of it as far as like the notable names as of right now, right? We'll move down to the point guard position, right? Who else do we got? DJ Augustine, 36 years old. I don't really think you're going to see too much from him. Still can get the job done to some degree, but as far as like being that point guard where it's like, we need you to go out here and play, high minutes and things of that nature. I don't think you're going to see it, but he can come in and give you some solid minutes off the bench. So I would say I think you might see him. Michael Carter Williams. Mm, I would say yeah. I mean, he has the size and the IQ. It's just a matter of staying healthy. Is the main thing. Him staying healthy is the main thing in regards to him being able to find himself still in the league, man. Goran Dragic, for me, hell no. A little too old to his style and game, how he plays now. I think teams will eat that alive. He's getting injured at the latter stage of his career, so I find that tough for to look at it and be like, oh, Goran Dragic, like oh he's maybe a bench player as a veteran, but don't really see it. George Hill, same thing. He definitely is a bench player, savvy vet, bench player that can definitely contribute to a team. At least if it's not from a point standpoint, definitely from a standpoint of again the coach, the IQ. He's been around on teams. Uh, Mac McClung, uh, former dunk or slam dunk champ. Trying to think, Mac's game, and sorry for the pause. I'm just thinking Mac's game isn't bad, necessarily. He just hasn't been given the opportunity to kind of showcase what he can do as far as from a guard level. You know what I mean? The minutes have been slim to none. We've seen actually what he did in the D League. He was playing with them, like how he's playing, and he's playing extremely confident when he's out there. So it's like I would like to see him give him an opportunity. Let's see what he can do. Like I said, a lot of these people end up being come out, they'll win a dunk contest, and then they can expand their game. And a lot of them just look at it from a standpoint of, oh, that's all this person can do. And they end up being out of the league. Or they get exposed. Like, I hate to say it, Blake Griffin, when he stopped dunking, what did he do? He started trying to stretch out and shoot, but at the same time, it's not a consistent shot that you're going to be game planning for or nervous about if you were to make a playoff series or anything like that. You're going to look at it and be like, oh, okay, let him shoot. You're not gonna say, oh, we can't let Blake Griffin shoot. You know what I mean? You'd rather dare him to shoot more than anything. So let's see what Mac can do, man. Was it Raul Nato? I think he was playing for Washington, if I'm not mistaken. Last team I saw him on. Not a bad point guard. He did what he was supposed to do for them. Uh, Kendrick Nunn. Feel bad for him, man. I think he should have stayed in Miami. That was almost a best fit for him because he went to the Lakers and pretty much disappeared. And then he went from the Lakers to the Wizards, and again, pretty much disappeared. So it's going to be tough sledding for him. I think he still has the skill set and ability to kind of go out there and still be of value to a roster, but he should have stayed in Miami. That's just my opinion, man. He should have stayed in Miami. I think that was the best fit. The culture there, the team, everything about him, like everything was perfect for him. He should have just stayed. That's my opinion. He should have stayed with them. Ish Smith, savvy, one of the fastest players in the league, still can add. He can still add a little value to a team. So I could probably see him get picked up just from that point. John Wall, I'm very surprised he's still on this list. He's shown that he is absolutely willing to do whatever it takes to be a value and be a veteran to a team. Still has a lot to give to the game because his injuries kept him out for an extended period of time. Then he actually wasn't hurt. He just, him and the Houston Rockets just didn't see eye to eye. So they were just pretty much sitting, like literally coach's decision, just sitting him out, and then obviously where they were looking for a trade. So he went to the Clippers and then that didn't pan out. So now he's free agent for that. So I think there's going to be a team that'll snag John Wall just because he is like I would say, true point guard. We know he can score, but he can also pass. And John Wall, he gets at them in the defensive end too. He's a scrappy defender. He's at a good size where he can kind of guard any guard in the league, whether it be a one or a two. And obviously, he's one of the fastest players in the league as well. So I think he'll absolutely get scooped up by a team. Who that is going to be the question at heart. Um, I think if I'm being honest with you, I think Toronto might give him a call and try and go after him just because they lost Fred Van Vliet to Houston. So I think he may land in Toronto. But there's a few teams out there that can definitely use a point guard of his caliber that what he brings to the court. So yeah, I think Toronto might give him a call, or they probably did already, or something. But definitely, I'm surprised he still is on that list for it too, man. Definitely surprised. Like and PJ Washington as well. Obviously, we all know he played for Charlotte. Um, but I think for this one, he's a restricted free agent though. So if I was PJ Washington, man, I would just, I'm not getting big offers or anything, just re-sign with Charlotte because he was getting consistent minutes there. It may not have been to the caliber of what he maybe wanting to play like those like all-star type minutes or big name type minutes, but he was still getting minutes where he could go out there and make his bones and produce for his team. You know what I mean? But if I was him, I would stay with Washington. I mean, stay with the Hornets. But again, I'm not him. So if a team comes offering him the bag, I think he'll probably chase the bag more so than he would chasing the fact of being able to have the opportunity. But hey, man, you gotta do what you gotta do to secure it back for your family. That being said, man, we're gonna transition over to that part of what I wanted to talk about too. First, I'm gonna start right off the bat, man. My man's Kyrie, right? excited as hell for Kyrie on all levels, every aspect of it, re-signing with the Mavs and running it back instead of running away from it. You know what I mean? Shout out to Mark Cuban making that a conservative effort on making sure that he retained Kyrie because he came out and said it that they want him back. Just looking at how things played out for the Mavs, obviously they didn't make playoffs, but just looking at the in hindsight of things, you just got to see how the team meshed and worked when Kyrie was out there by himself. Luca, had to sit out a game or two and things like that. But you got to see how Kyrie can run the ship if he's by himself or if him and Luka's on the court together and one of them goes that, takes a rest on the bench and then the other one is out there, you could see clear as day, like there isn't a drop off when one of them goes to the bench and one stays in the game, you keep the remaining players in. There wasn't a drop off. You could see it clear as day. So Mark Cuban saw that too, and he also saw the potential. Okay, we can also go after someone else and allow this team to also be able to build chemistry and camaraderie in the off season, figure each other out, figure out where players what their spots are, learning one another, and seeing okay, this is where we're at as a team. This is what we like. This is where Kyrie likes the ball. This is where Luca likes the ball. This is how Tim Hardaway likes to catch it off the pick. Things of that nature, man. So it gives the Mavs a chance to kind of go in and really mesh and jail and run this thing back and see what happens, right? And I think that's the dangerous thing that people aren't really paying too much mind to, man. They thinking that it's gonna be one of those things or whose team is it, my team, my turn, your turn, all that kind of stuff. The way Kyrie is built, you know what I mean, and a lot of people they misunderstand Kyrie is just for the love of the game, he just wants to play, right? And then he's playing another player and we've all seen that player that he got the most success with was LeBron. Obviously, they won a chip together, but um, it's just one of those things where he's at a point in his career and life where he just wants to play ball, be happy, and enjoy life, right? And Luca's like young enough where it's like he is just playing ball. Like Luca is just out there, just balling up, man. As one of the best players in the league at such a young age, and he's already done put up historical numbers the way he has. The Mavs are looking dangerous. That's the only thing I can say to y'all. But Mark Cuban wanted to make sure he definitely kept that dynamic duo together. So he did what he had to do, and we're going to get to see how that plays out, man. But I'm excited for Kyrie because he got a great deal with the Mavs, secured the back for his family and future wealth for generations to come, things like that. So that's priority number one. Number two is the whole situation that took place with Nike, right? We all know how they tried to get on him about saying like, oh, um, how Nike came out saying that they believe there is no place for hate speech and we condemn any form of anti Semitism and things like that from when he posted um, he reshared the movie or something along those lines that somebody else shared. So he didn't say anything. He just reshared the movie of what somebody had, right? And so Nike kind of used that as a launching pad to pretty much sever ties with Kyrie Irving, right? Created this whole entire, crazy narrative about him and all this kind of things, man. And it was just like, if you've ever met this person, you know what type of person he is, you know what type of time he's on, but you don't hear nothing about the charitable events that he's done for colleges, families, housing, all these things, right? And I did a short video just talking about it briefly, right? And you hear nothing about any of that. You know what I'm saying? Him paying for people's college tuition, all this stuff. You hear nothing about it. You hear nothing. The only thing you heard was his name being slandered across the airwaves, Nike cutting ties with him because he's anti-Semitic or whatever the case may be when again he just reshared a name of a movie and didn't say anything, just shared the name of the movie or just shared the movie, and that was it. So he left it open for interpretation for others, and I guess we should all assume by now when you do things like that, people are always going to assume or interpret it from a worst case scenario. Every opportunity they get, they're not going to look at it from a perspective of you just bringing, you know what I'm saying, bringing light to a situation or bringing eyes or views or attention to it. They just literally looked at it from a point of just trying to put that jacket on it. That's what they did. And so Nike cut ties with them, ending that deal. And so what did he do next? He went and signed with Anta or Anta, or however you want to pronounce it. It's a Chinese deal with them, right? And so a lot of people are like, oh, who the hell is Nantel? Like Clay Thompson signed, he signed with them, and Gordon Hayward has signed with them as well, right? So, and that's like two of the most notable players in the NBA that are currently signed with that shoe brand. But the best thing about it that I love the most of him signing with them is the fact that is that he'll actually serve as the company's chief creative officer as part of the deal as well. And I'm super happy about that, like super happy. So the signature shoe with the company is set to be released early next year in 2024. And so I'm happy about the fact that not only did he sign a lucrative deal with them, he also allowed himself to get into a position that allows him to expand and show his creativity. And he's securing again another generational type thing, but he's also taking it into his own hands of showing players the way where you can have more control over if you sign with either how your shoe looks, how you can show your creativity, allowing them to expand and grow and kind of venture off into different aspects with these shoe companies. Because a lot of these players, let's be honest, some of them have insight in saying like I would well not too many. LeBron probably one where they come to him and show him different I would say models or shoes or different kind of beta tests like what do you think of this, what do you think of this, what do you think of this, and he probably gives his insight or he picks one, but more so Nike has more control over saying this is the shoe we're going to release, and kind of leaving it at that, right? But I think in the case of LeBron, he has a little bit more control when it comes to that, though, is him saying, I want this one instead of this one, just because obviously he's been with Nike since he was 18. So it's kind of a no brainer that obviously we look at him now, he's a mogul. So they're in the face of the league, and he's been the face of the league for a while. And so they're going to listen to him. But when it comes to other players like a Kevin Durant, like let's see, I know Zion's with Jordan and Luca's with say uh, John Morant, right? They're not going to give them control over as far as like the same way they would LeBron. So Kyrie is just saying, you guys can structure this into your deal where you have the option to have more control over your shoe. And the only thing you're doing is you're just using that company as a distribution company to distribute your product. Even though you guys are partners in this whole situation, you're still going to be able to have control over the product more so than you do as them giving you something or telling you this is what they're going to do when you have to have a conversation and come to an agreement. It's a big difference. It's a big difference from being told this is the shoe we're releasing versus hey, can which shoe can we release? It's a big difference, you know what I mean? So for him, I'm proud of him. I'm happy that he's moving on from it. I'm happy he's getting to play basketball. I'm happy he signed with the new for a sneaker deal with to the Chinese sneaker company. So I'm excited about that. And I just can't wait to see the next evolution for him, man. I mean, I'm very excited for Kyrie and the situation he's in. So I'm very curious to see how these shoes are going to look, man. We all know Kyrie's a free spirit, free thinker. So I'm curious to see how these shoes are going to look when they come out. I know it's a long ways from now, but anticipate them. Highly anticipating the look and how it's going to look. We've seen how Klay Thompson shoes look. Nothing too special. Um, not bad, not terrible, not bad, not overly overwhelming, or I gotta go pop these kind of thing. Nothing like that. It's just some shoes you look at, try it on, good fit, light. But obviously, a lot of these players, their shoes are built more so around their game more than anything. But when you look at, let's just say, some of the first LeBrons that came out, right? He modeled the shoe around how Hummers looked, and so the shoe itself was good because it allowed you explosion from going left to right or vertical or back, all that kind of stuff, right? And then the next shoes after that kind of more so just tailored more so for a vertical line run and explosion. It wasn't meant for shiftiness left to right, quick explosive like crossover moves and stuff like that. And no slight disrespect. It's just when I had tried it on, that's when I noticed, right? And I immediately was like, no, I can't wear these because the type of player I was is I could do the explode like the vertical there here, but I love to go left to right. Like being able to have that mobility and being agile and nimble on your feet to go left to right, crossover quick, or go up dunking, or change position, like change your pace, change your direction. All those things, those like his shoes, and I can't remember exactly which ones it is. They didn't really allow that, right? And as you can see, the evolution of the shoes, his shoes have changed to the point now where it's like a lot of these shoes resembles like Kobe shoes, and Kobe shoes are built around what? Well, I'll say Kobe's new shoes with Nike, right? I mean, dang near almost every shoe that he's had with Nike was built for the ability to be able to go left or right quick, having that traction control, being able to pivot, being able to do these things that allow quick twitch muscle where you can shift or change the direction at the drop of a dime type thing, right? Outside, and I noticed y'all say I say it with Nike because those Adidas he had that looked like a spaceship, those shoes were terrible, absolutely terrible. Uh, I never bought a pair, tried it on, and it was like literally you're wearing bricks for shoes. I mean, hell, you might as well wear Tim's in that. You might as well wear Tim's in that case. You know what I mean? But Kobe did the right thing, man. He got away from Adidas. He got with Nike. Obviously, the shoes evolved. He didn't have a signature shoe right away because he was still what he was doing back in the day was he would wear Jordans or he would wear certain shoes and then they would just make it like the Mamba version and things like that. So I just remember one of the first ones being like the Harachis, right? Now when you look at it, the Harachis are just walking shoes. They're more like walking or running shoes, right? Originally, they weren't. They were basketball shoes. They had the strap that came across the hole that's like right at the side where I want to say up towards or near the ankle area. A lot of people, when you know, you know. You know what I mean? If you're of that age and you understand what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I say that Barachis were probably some of the best basketball shoes at that time, right? And so it kind of ventured and turned from there where he did start to create his own signature shoe and working with Nike. But then obviously nowadays we look at it and Colbs are one of the most prominent basketball shoes in the league now. Everyone is wearing them. Why? They're extremely comfortable. Even when he had the ones where he had lows and highs, they're still structured around being low top shoes. But his shoes being low tops, they're extremely sturdy. It allows you again that flexibility to be able to shift from left to right and that mobility. They're not stiff, so it's like they're some of the best basketball shoes I would say personally for me that I've ever worn. And to this day, it's like those are still the shoes that if I'm gonna go lace them up. That's what I'm wearing. Even from the comfort standpoint of just wearing them, just like everyday use, extremely comfortable. So for me, that would be my. I would say if I had to pick a goat shoe or a goat basketball shoe or my overall number one pick, absolutely would be the Kobe's, and I can't remember the exact number, but for me, it's definitely the Kobe's for basketball shoes. And then right after Kobe's, I think, man, for the next shoe after that, as far as being comfortable, man, I would say I like the. It's it's tough, man. It's tough to kind of pick because I had a pair of KDs that I liked, and then it kind of went, it changed, and I just kind of went away from it. I had a pair of Kyrie's that I liked, changed, and went away from it. But I do know that I would say number one overall, right after the Cobes, for me, probably the Jordan 17s. Those are some of the best basketball shoes I think I've had too. But yeah, Cobes for sure. Number one. After that, it's a toss up as far as for shoes or what I would hoop in or what I would like to wear for that, man. So that's my end for that part. But yeah, again, you look at the shoes and how it's evolved from that standpoint. Again, I apologize for going back to that part, but the shoes from that standpoint, you look at it, man, it's just there's certain shoes now. It all depends on the type of player you are and the game, your game that you have as a player. That shoe fits best for you. That's an easy way to put it. Not everybody can lace up certain shoes and be like, oh, these shoes are perfect for me. These are what I want. This is what I gotta have. Things like that. That's not the case. Not everybody can do that. So I know for me, hell no, I can't do that. I can't just put on any random pair of shoes and be like, oh, these are good. It's like, no, I got to. It has to be comfortable and it has to be something that I like. I can't try and go out there and play in bricks. It's like, no, that's not the case, man. Not the case. But next segment of that, man. Again, shouts out to Kyrie. Congratulations to him, man. Excited. Can't wait to see next steps in his journey for that. But for the rest of the basketball, man, we're gonna touch on a few other things, and I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I didn't want to make it too long, so my apologies. But again, like I said, I wanted to tap in and just kind of go over a few things and with the two, man. But right now, all the things that's going on in the league, I think the league is trending in the right place. I'm curious to see how this potential like in season tournament thing is going to work out. I think personally, they should have left it alone and just stuck with just trying another season or so, working out with this the play-in tournament. The in-season tournament, I don't know necessarily how I feel about personally. I think some things are not meant to be altered or changed. You want to keep the historical foundation of what's working. You know what I'm saying? Because you definitely got some viewership from that in the play-in tournament for sure. But this in-season tournament, I don't really know like the true purpose of it. You know what I mean? I don't truly understand it. And so maybe I gotta do a little bit of more research. Maybe I gotta do a little bit more, digging a little deeper to it, so that way I can understand it. But I just don't see the point of it. How it's going to um, necessarily like help. That's just my thing. I just don't see the point of it. Stick with the playing tournament. Let that be the whole factor in case into things, and allow that to kind of see how it grows, and it grows and spreads, and brings in more crowds. Because if you keep trying to, understand they're trying to make sure that they are pulling in the younger crowds, the younger viewership, but they're also trying to maintain their either diehards or older generation of basketball fans, things like that. Just be careful, because you can mess around and kind of lose one just to gain the other. You know what I mean? And we all know younger fans, well, I would say kids, they don't have jobs. The parents are the ones that are paying for tickets, jerseys, these NBA TV, the apps, all that stuff, like all the merch, the NBA merch, and things like that. The parents are the ones that's paying for it. You know what I mean? If your market target are kids, you got to make sure that the parents are the ones that you are really truly going after, because the kids can definitely go to their parents nagging about, I want this jersey, I want this shoe, I want these socks, I want this, and this. It's up to the parents to say yes or no. At the end of the day, they may say yes because they want the kids to stop nagging about it. They may say no because they're a fan of the sport, and they just don't believe, like, they don't like the direction it's headed. So just be careful. I would say just test the temperature of your viewership and your fans. All the market targets that you target. You know what I mean? Whether it be older, middle age, young, kids, however it is, just make sure. That's just my advice to the NBA. Obviously, I don't work there. I'm not a multi-billionaire or millionaire, things like that. They probably not going to even see or hear what I'm saying, but that's just my advice to them. If it does come across someone's table, or whatever the case may be, just he warning to that you're just kind of playing it safe, and you're testing your markets out to make sure you do that, man. But otherwise, I think it's headed in a great direction, though. You have young players, plenty of young players out there. You have big names from those players, and when you look at these players, like a John Moran, like a Zion Williamson, like that, Victor Wembanyama, or whatever. I'm not gonna even try and butcher his name. Him. Who else we got, man? They're still fairly young, but not too old. Obviously, we got Steph, still there as a big name. Um, Kyrie, Luca, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all these guys, man. You got the league is in good hands, because you have a litany of players. That you have your young players, then you have your players that are right in the middle, that are next up after the LeBron, the KD, and the Kyrie. I mean, not Kyrie, the Curry. Like, once these players decide to kind of hit that latter stage of their career, you have you already have the players that's next up, that's here now, competing with them. You know what I mean? So that's already here. So that for me is a good thing. And speaking of Jaylen Brown, let's pump the brakes, man. Hold the hey, 304 million. 304 million. 5 year deal. Like, hold on, man. Hold the hell on. My man, not only because they at first, when they first were talking about his extension, right? They were talking upwards of 100 and something million. Then they went to 200 something million, right? Now all of a sudden it's over 300 million as his extension. Am I happy and excited for him? From us standpoint, absolutely. I am ecstatic that this man secured the bag like that, and setting himself up for generation wealth, financial freedom, whatever you want, everything you want to call it, for his family and for him. Excited as hell, like super excited, man. Like, I am beyond excited that he's winning at that level, absolutely winning at that level. Only question I have is, at what detriment does that to the team, for them to be able to bring in pieces around y'all, for y'all to not only compete for championships but win them? what that should like? How does that hinder anything? Is there anything like that? That would be the only thing for me. I don't know too many jobs that reward an employee for being late every day or missing days and calling off. I don't know too many jobs like that. Why do I reference or say that? In the playoffs, when it came push to shove and they need him in the biggest moments, it kind of disappeared. So I'm gonna need him now that he done secured this bag to go out there and justify it to the highest degree. Go out there when the moments come again, Jalen. When the moments come again, show up and show out all the way out. Show them that show that what I'm saying, us NBA fans, and then obviously most notably the Celtics fans and the Celtics organization. Show them that every penny they gave you is absolutely worth it. Show them that. You know what I mean? Don't be one of the ones where they say he secured the bag and then after that it's just kind of fell off as a player. He stopped caring about the game and stop putting in the work just because you got generational life changing money and then just got comfortable with it because it was just like I made more on one like making more on one deal than some people made in multiple careers. You have some players back in the early 2000s, definitely the 90s for sure, but early 2000s that didn't even make close to like half of what you just made in one contract that they made in their entire career. So, and a lot of people say, when they bring up saying, man, these old NBA players be hating. A lot of it ain't hate. It may be a little envy, but a lot of it is just looking at like what they had to go through as far as like from a physicality standpoint, the lows they had, the work they put in, they had to go through all that. And they made a fraction of what these players are making today. And the players are making today haven't did nearly close to the amount of work these players put in. So that's why you see a lot of these older players kind of like, what I'm saying, looking at these newer NBA players side eye, like, man, what the hell? Like, y'all doing low management, y'all doing all this and that, and y'all getting paid 10 times more than what we got paid. Like, man, hell no. They not willing to go sit down and have a a frank conversation with somebody knowing something like that. You know what I mean? Like I that's all, and that's just me. I could be wrong in my perspective, but that's just my train of thought, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. You know what I mean? I just know when these players is like if I had a coworker that made, what I mean, or not a coworker, or somebody new came in, they're making 10 times more than me, and they're doing a third of the work that I'm doing, and I done been there longer, and I'm not gonna count their pockets. I'm gonna look at the company like, what the hell going on? Like, I need to get paid my worth and my value. If I'm putting in this much work, why the hell am I getting pennies on the dollar? And again, that has nothing to do with that person. It has to do with the fact of if I know that that's what's going on, then I need to go to where the bank is. Going to that person and counting that person's pockets ain't gonna change my situation. And a lot of people make that mistake, man, where they count people pockets. Y'all notice the first thing I said and expressed was what? My happiness and joy that man is winning at that level. I'm excited and ecstatic for him to break records and become the highest paid player in NBA history from a contract perspective. I am absolutely ecstatic for it. But from, as another Celtics player, like, bro, I'm doing the same thing. I'm gonna need the bag too. Okay, let me go out here and put in the work so I can make sure I secure the bag like that too. Counting his pockets ain't gonna do nothing for you. You need to go to the bank that cut the check to give it to him. That way you can get the same bag. Go put in the work. Go figure out what you need to do. He putting 20 points a game up, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. See if you can go out there and put up, what I'm saying, 9 boards, 8 assists. You know what I'm saying? You don't even have to get 20 points. You can get 15. But in the other categories that, what I'm saying, that still contribute to a win and contribute to statistics on the team, that's what you need to focus on. A lot of people make the mistake and they want to go to counting pockets, and then that counting pockets turns into hate and envy and all that kind of stuff. That's not the case. That's not the smart direction to go into. That's not best case. The best case is be proud, be happy for the next person winning, and figure out how can you get there and either elevate beyond that, or how can you elevate to make sure you securing it and securing it for your family as well. That would be my advice. But again, I'm not in those locker rooms, man. But any person knows, if you've been around the type of people that they claim and say they want to see you win, and the actions say other words, and how they do things, it definitely says something different. You can tell those people right away. You can tell how those people are. You can look at them, tell you can in conversation, and whatever you want to call it. You can literally look at them and tell like, oh, this is how they are. They say one thing, but then they act on another. For example, a lot of people how they were saying that oh, we rock with Kyrie and this, that, and the third, and all that, but none of them was willing to speak up in that time when Nike was beating him over the head with what I'm saying, trying to say the things they were saying on social media, how they were slandering, how the league was coming after Kyrie and this, that, and the third, but nobody wanted to speak up and have his back and just say, knowing him as a personal person, like that's not how he is, that's not what he meant. You know what I mean? And he shouldn't be having this kind of suspension of a game, this, that, and the third. People murmured a little bit, but they didn't really stand behind it. Outside of the people you were seeing, for one of the what are they called, fraternities that was out there is standing in unison for Kyrie, saying, you know what I mean? So it's like stuff like that. Actions speak louder than words. They didn't announce to Kyrie they was going to do that. They showed up and showed out for him and his support. A lot of people forget that though. And you got these players that have the power they have, like the LeBrons, like the KDs, the Currys, and all these other big name players that can literally go out there, stand in unison and say this and that. You know what I mean? Showing that they're backing their fellow brother and they fellow, what I'm saying, colleague, teammate, or whatever you want to call it. That puts the league in a very tough situation. Why they're not going to penalize or go after the face or faces of the league. They're gonna eat that on the chin, and it's gonna put pressure on them to do what? It's gonna put pressure on them to be like, okay, let's have a roundtable meeting. Let's sit down and discuss and talk about this. You know what I mean? But again, like, how do I say, like, people don't really necessarily understand that they don't go that way. They're not willing to be vulnerable and put themselves out there because they're not willing to lose something for somebody else to not, I wouldn't say gain, but just stay stable where they're at. They're not willing to lose something or put something at risk for the betterment of somebody else, or for them to again just stay where they're at, to be treated how they're supposed to be treated. And that's the part a lot of people be looking at, and they just kind of they go right over their head. But a lot of these players that claim they pro this, pro that, but then when push comes to shove, they nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. But again, man, that's just my little 2 cents on this whole thing and whatnot, man. But I'm getting ready to wrap this thing up. Like I said, I appreciate you coming through. Definitely just wanted to tap in with y'all, talk a little bit of basketball, talk a little bit of extended parts of basketball. So I know it's a long video. I appreciate you if you made it all the way this far. Definitely appreciate it a lot, man. You tapping in with me. But before we get up out of here, gotta say it's fight week. What we the 27th, we're 48 hours removed. We're seeing one of the biggest fights in boxing history, or at least within the last 40, 50 years. Y'all already know who I'm talking about, man. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Earl, the True Smith Jr. versus Terrence Bud Crawford. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Tune in, buy it. I've already bought it. Pay-per-view, hell, I might buy it twice. Probably gonna buy it twice just to support it. People going, why you gonna do that twice, man? Blah, blah, blah. Like, look at it this way. If I buy it twice, I'm supporting both of them brothers. Who do I got winning the fight? I got Earl the True Spence Jr. winning that fight, becoming undisputed, the first 147 pounder to have in the four-brother era to have all four be undisputed. That's why I have winning the fight. If Terrence Crawford wins the fight, guess what? What's next, brother? That man made history. Congratulations on a hell of a fight, hell of a career. If you're not retiring, what's next? If you are retiring, I appreciate what you did for the sport of boxing, and me as a fan as well. A lot of Bud Crawford fans can't say that. And like I said, I'm a fan of boxing first. Everybody will have their fighters that they gravitate to, that they like and they enjoy watching. But I'm a fan of boxing first. So if Errol Spence, I'm a fan of too. If Earl Spence wins, guess what? Hell of a fight. Congratulations. Being undisputed. First time being undisputed. What's next, brother? What's next? I know you're not retiring, so that part I don't have to say because he already said he's gonna move up to 154. So for me, it's what's next? Who's next? What's the next mission? For Bud, if he win, I'm gonna repeat the same thing I just said. If you retire, hell of a career. You don't retire, hey, what's next? What are you gonna do? On to the next. It's that simple. People can't do that though. They can keep it. They want to say they straight down the middle, straight down the middle. You can have who you have winning the fight. That's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to who you have winning the fight. I'm never gonna argue somebody's opinion who they have winning the fight. My issue is when you hear people just saying some stupid stuff. That's the thing where you're just like, okay, man, like you just a hater of anything. But again, like I said, man, it's man down, strap season. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know who I'm rocking with. And with that being said, we already know, man. Y'all tune in. Make sure you buy that pay-per-view. I appreciate you stopping through, kicking it with me. It's been a minute. We're gonna tap back in though, but make sure you hit that like button, sub to the channel if you're new. If you wish to support the channel, that information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. It's also in the description of the video, man. I appreciate you stopping through. Again, buy that fight, tune in for it, lock in for it. And we out of here, man. I'll catch you on another one.